heaven sent. She's up in that high rise. I'm pitching a tent. I'm a little on the harder side of living. She defines the finer things in life. I don't know how she wound up here with me. I count my lucky stars every night. I was hellbound. She's heaven sent. She's up in that high rise. I'm pitching a tent. I'm a warm red tequila. She's imported wine. I'm a wishing well. She's a gold mine. Loving me ain't never been easy. I've been the kind to run away. Something about your love, girl, you saved me. Now all I wanna do with you is stay. I was hellbound. She's heaven sent. She's up in that high rise. I'm pitching a tent. I'm a warm red tequila. She's imported wine. I'm a wishing well. She's a gold mine. I was hellbound. She's heaven sent. She's up in that high rise. I'm pitching a tent. I'm a warm red tequila. She's imported wine. I'm a wishing well. She's a gold mine. I'm a wishing well. I'm a wishing well. I'm a wishing well. She's a gold mine.
Sitting here with Anthony Russo, who is a singer, songwriter, and recording artist. He has recorded multiple singles and an EP and is currently in the studio recording his latest single titled Practice What You Preach. Super earworm, that song, which is slated to hit radio stations in the St. Louis, Missouri area in March. He's also a dancer who formerly toured with the worldwide production of Tap Dogs. Anthony and his band, Russo and Company, are currently headlining clubs in the St. Charles, St. Louis area. Welcome to Soundcheck. Thank you for taking the time to sit down and chat with me during your visit.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So what is your connection to Southern Maryland?
My connection here, over 20 years ago, I was on tour with this show, Tap Dogs, and we landed a contract in Reno, Nevada, excuse me. And we had an issue with a couple of the cast members that weren't able to continue on. We did a 4-month tour, then followed by this Reno contract.
Okay.
And one of the guys that got hired to come into the show is from right here in Southern Maryland. My good friend, Mr. Justin Myles.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So you come down here, visit quite a bit, because last night while we were at the last drop, people were coming in and they already knew you.
Yeah.
So you visit here often?
Yeah, it's been almost 2 years since my last visit down here. But Justin and I have been collaborating musically since we met.
Okay. And when was that?
That would have been 2002, I believe.
Okay.
I should have been in high school, but I was out with this touring show.
Wow.
But to make sure I graduated on time, I worked out a deal with the AV teacher at my high school to produce a short documentary film about my touring experiences.
Wow.
And when I met Justin, he had just self-produced his first EP album, all songs written by him, played, recorded, mixed, and mastered, everything. And I was just super inspired by that. And I was looking for a soundtrack for the documentary.
Oh, wow.
So I used his original music to soundtrack that short film.
Excellent.
And I'd probably just bought my first guitar months before that. Encountering him for the first time, I was like, holy cow, this guy's an incredible percussionist, tap dancer, and he has this on the side. Meeting him, hearing his record, using that for the documentary that helped me graduate high school on time.
Wow.
It was kind of our tie to music. We were on another contract in 2015, and the contract got terminated early.
Okay.
So we decided there were multifaceted guys within the tap dance show. Justin is a monster on a drum set. So I was like, all right, drums, I can play rhythm guitar and sing. My brother was in the show at the time, went to college for music composition, emphasis on guitar. He took lead guitar. So this one contract terminated early and we were out of work. There was no clause to like keep us eating after that.
Shit.
So we all kind of got sent home along our way, and I was like, man, I got an idea. Let's start a little rock blues band project. The show was called Tap Dogs, and in German, which is where our contract was, Stepphunden.
Okay.
So I was like, Step Hounds. The Step Hounds. Sounds like a blues band.
Holy shit, dude.
So 2015, we started our first little project. With music being the forefront, but every person in the band could tap dance.
Wow.
So we do these Chinese fire drills where like me and Justin can both play guitar, drums, sing, and tap dance. So we're interchangeable.
So you play the drums also?
Yeah, not very well, but good enough. More than 2 songs, you'll hear all my weaknesses.
Oh no, don't say that. I'm sure it's you're more talented than that.
Just long enough to get by.
You got all that rhythm. I've seen videos of you dancing.
It's in there.
It's pretty damn amazing.
Thank you.
For somebody, I mean, you know, I dance at in my house.
Oh, yeah.
Right. That's all I do.
Privacy of these quarters.
Right. So how did you get into music? What was your first music love?
You get to that the grade in school where you have to choose between orchestra, choir, or band. 6th grade. I'd grown up dancing. I had a really eclectic knowledge of music from taking ballet class, tap class at a young age, jazz class. Like my understanding of music and appreciation of all genres was from a very, very young age. And then when I was given the choice of either choir, orchestra, or band, I gravitated towards the band, specifically the percussion section, as a tether to my tap dancing. I was always rhythmically inclined more than melodically. Gravitated to concert band, and I started taking private drum lessons when I was probably 13, 14 years old.
Okay.
And then that kind of tied on into high school. I was in concert band, marching band, jazz band, but then also I could dance. So the show choir director, they didn't allow freshmen in the show choir, but like me and 2 of my friends could sing and dance. So they brought us in.
Wow.
Because like the bass section of the show choir was like the defensive line of the football team. They're not super graceful, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Especially not when you're young, right?
No.
Yeah.
So in high school, I was juggling all of that while like taking dance lessons. But music was more percussion based in the beginning. Drums, percussion. I did all was in every section of the drum line throughout my high school days. And I didn't buy a guitar. I played my dad's guitar when I was a kid, but like I learned how to play like "Come As You Are,"
right?
like don't, just very remedial. My first tour with Tap Dogs, I was 17. There's not eight guys in the company, and like 4 of them traveled with acoustic guitars.
Okay.
So we're on a large scale tour bus, traveling from town to town, and I was 17, and there's a bunch of these adult men in the back of this tour bus playing Leonard Skinner and drinking Budweiser, and I was just like, I should have been in social studies or something.
Right. That's kind of amazing. Like, you know, you're not supposed to be 17 and touring the world.
No.
You're not supposed to be a freshman, and you know, it seems like you're you have a real knack for music, for rhythm, for that's just amazing. Yeah, I wasn't nearly that cool when I was 17.
I mean, don't get me wrong, marching band was not considered cool. Back then.
Well, I mean, it depends on who you ask, really.
I got street credit after I got off the tour bus and came back home, and everyone thought I had like made it.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, in a sense, yeah.
I
did.
Yeah, at that age, I mean, we were just talking a little bit ago. There are people who, you know, think they've made it, and you're like, man, just what are you doing here? Like,
You don't find the ceiling too early.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, what was that sound or that record or that moment for you where you were like, shit, I really want to do music?
I mean, there were some specific tunes that were on the radio when I was, in my late teens. That I'm like, I want to learn how to play that. Same way, like Nirvana hit "Come as You Are," and I was like, let me figure out how to do that. I think I can do that. My dad played music. My mom she grew up dancing and performing. So like the artistic eye and ear was always like, it was everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I could say something like real, like street credit kind of old Hank and Burl or something like that. But like, I heard the intro to Drive by Incubus.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I want to learn how to play that on an acoustic guitar. Went on that first tour. Everybody had a guitar, it seemed. So the second contract I got hired for, I bought a $75 Fender, showed up with an acoustic guitar, and learned, Skynyrd songs, old like all the songs that are like on the road, you're missing home kind of stuff. We played that in the back lounge of that tour bus, all the time. But that particular Incubus tune, I was like, I got to learn how to play this, and the third chord in that progression is like one of these.
The ones that make you want to give up.
Might have bit off more than I can chew here, but it just, I love a challenge.
Sure.
Always have, especially if somebody's like, I don't know if that's really for you. I'm like, well, okay, we'll see about that.
Did it come natural to you playing the guitar?
Yeah, rhythmically, it takes a minute to like compartmentalize this versus the rhythm of vocals and all that kind of stuff, but fast forward to like recent years, inspired by like old like John Hartford videos. This dude is an old banjo picker from St. Louis, and he would pick a banjo, sing, and flat foot at the same time. Put like a 2/4 backbeat on the feet, boom, chat, doom, and bing, dig it, and pick the banjo and sing. I was like, all right, I don't think anybody's doing that now. So I locked myself in the workshop till I could like play some basic rhythm guitar, rhythm on the feet. That's on autopilot because I've done it since I was 2 years old. One thing has to be on auto. Like, one thing's got to be like, all right, you're good. I'm gonna leave you alone. But yeah, I've like I said, like my music taste from a young age is just like an open angle. But I was heavy into like alternative rock as a teenager, Smashing Pumpkins, 9 Inch Nails. Some of the, like, you're more like some of those one hitters coming up, Wallflowers.
Dishwalla.
Yeah, we played that on the other
night. I know.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
But yeah, as I got older into my playing and the things I started writing about, which is the stuff I'm most familiar with, started to lean towards that country market. But I've also never really gravitated towards pop country sound.
Right.
So it's a little bit of a fusion of inspiration from a lot of different things. But a lot of the stuff I was learning on a tour bus.
Yeah.
On a 4-month over-the-road North American tour. And it's just inspired by, you spend a Thanksgiving in a 3-star hotel. I'm like, man, all right, I can write about something here,
Well, but I think also to be, I think some of the best musicians, they're not listening to one thing only. They're listening to a wide array of music.
Yeah.
And I told you this last night, but your songs remind me, and I fully admit that country is not my genre. It's not that it's not my genre. I'm not as strong in knowledge of country music as I am in some others, but it reminds me of, it's a throwback to like 70s, 80s, 90s country. What I do remember hearing, back then, some hints of bluegrass. So it's definitely not what you hear on the radio now.
Yeah.
So kudos to you for that, for just not doing what everybody else is doing, right?
That's easy. Listen and repeat.
Yeah. But and people are hungry for that stuff. I mean, I know, like, in pop music in general, it's a fad and people go out and they buy, but the ones that stay, the ones that you go back and you're like, oh shit, I'm going to listen to some Willie Nelson or some Hank, those are always with you, right? So I love that about your music. It reminds me of that. It's something that I can listen to and be like, oh, I relate to it.
Yeah.
So who are some of your biggest musical influences in the country genre?
On the country genre, I mean, I when I really was listening to country music coming up, it was Alan Jackson, Travis Tritt, John Michael Montgomery. Like, for those are the first three out of like off the top of my brain. But I wasn't a huge country music listener back in the day, just until more recently. And I would gravitate back to that 90s era country, or some of the things on the newer end that just aren't played on the radio, a little less discovered. More people are privy to your Cody Jinks, Tyler Childers kind of branch of music, Sturgill Simpson. Just, they're not getting radio play, but there's a station for it. And it's, you're finding it more on internet radio than anything else, which kind of helps you cut the fat of what you really want to dive into.
Right.
But I appreciate that, almost like the lack of polish and a real, like, honest approach to their own story. Little less what everybody wants to hear, more what you want to talk about, kind of thing.
Sure. And what about bluegrass? Because I do hear a little bit of that in your songs as well.
The bluegrass feel came from more. We had a bit of a pandemic project band. I was in a couple of bands back home in Missouri, Buskin' Bootleggers. That was a 5-piece string band. And
That's a really cool name.
It's an awesome name.
Yeah.
Me and the banjo player were the only two people that weren't related.
Oh shit!
In the band, so him and I would sit back and drink beer while they'd argue and figure out what we were doing during practice. Push come to shove, that band broke off, and a little while later, me and the banjo player, we're buddies. And we're like, well, we still want to play some music together? So let's figure something out. We talked to the bass player from that band. We started a group called Wood Eye, which is the name of a road we used to, like, go party on when we were kids.
Okay.
And then pandemic hit.
Oh shit.
Venues shut. Every opportunity, like, door closed. We're like, all right, cool. We got this new idea. Can't do anything with it. So I had the concept to change our name to the Drive-By Boys. And it was a 3-piece. It was a trio. It was me on an acoustic, an upright bass, and a banjo.
Excellent.
It's hard not to sound bluegrassy.
Yeah.
With that arrangement. Yeah. So what we did, instead of covering traditional bluegrass music, we would do what I would call deep fry popular music.
Okay.
So it's not new. Plenty of people have done it, but you just take a tune that everybody knows. Deep fry that thing. So we're doing Steve Miller, Tom Petty, you name it. Like, nothing was off limits. Prince. We do a cover of Kiss by Prince.
Holy shit.
Lightning in a bottle. It works.
Oh my God.
And we put it on a flatbed trailer, and we started doing, like, driveway parties. We'd pull up in, like, a cul-de-sac. We'd pull up to the front of somebody's house, and they'd kind of hang out. Other neighbors would be at the end of their driveways with coolers and chairs.
Right. What a great idea.
And, like, we found when the whole world said, no, you can't do this, we were like, watch this. And we did it. I was still tap dancing on the trailer. We just set up a quick PA system and we did this little bluegrass style trio. And it took off.
Wow.
Like a couple people saw footage, like, what are you guys doing? Oh my God, let me talk to my whole neighborhood real quick.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, we're in that neighborhood. We're over there, block party next weekend. And we were gigging more than we did pre-pandemic.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It worked. And so that's where like the bluegrass sound and influence kind of just comes from that product.
Okay.
We just started leaning into that sound with material that we already knew how to play.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a bit of a novelty, but there was also some street credit to it.
Yeah, there's and God, if you tell me this is you, I'm going to scream. But
Nah.
there's a band that does this very thing that you're describing, and they've done this Radiohead medley.
Ooh.
That is phenomenal.
You can tell by my reaction, it's not me.
Okay. Because as soon as you're describing it, I'm like, wait a minute. But no, it's so I've heard that before, and it's so creative. And to just grab those songs and change them in that manner. I mean, you play covers and you make them your own. That's taking it to a whole new level.
Yeah.
So kudos to you.
Change the feel completely.
Absolutely. And it's probably one of those where you're like, I don't know what he's playing. I know that song, but I don't know that it's the song I'm thinking of. And then you're like, oh shit, that is, So that's pretty cool.
Our favorite moment was when we would play a song that damn well everybody knows, but they wouldn't recognize.
Yeah.
You hit the chorus and watch everybody go,
Oh, right.
this song. Oh my God. That was the payoff every time.
That's so cool. That's very cool. So you're headlining clubs. Am I correct in saying that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I did read a couple posts where you're back home. You're headlining clubs, selling them out. What was that trajectory like? And what did that feel like when your first sold out show?
Yeah, it was a gamble. There's a local venue back home called the Blue House Theater.
Mm-hmm.
It's in Warrenton, Missouri, which is we're close proximity to St. Louis. So we, if I'm traveling abroad, people ask me where I'm from. I will say St. Charles, but if they go, where's that? I can go right by St. Louis.
Sure.
Another 45 minutes west is Warren County in Warrenton, where this theater is. So
Okay.
we had a small fan base out there. It's hard to get people to travel to come see you and pay a ticket when they can catch us in the bar on the corner the weekend before. So strategically, we kind of limited our shows leading up to this ticketed show, and we had to have something really to sell. Guarantee they're going to get something different for them to spend the money, number one, and number two, to take the drive 45 minutes each way to see something they probably think they could see somewhere else for free. We played this theater one time, unexpectedly. It's a 170 seat venue, old movie theater, refurbished completely to a beautiful listening room.
Okay.
It's awesome. Shotgun room, small balcony, church pews down the walls.
So super acoustics, I'm imagining, right?
It's awesome.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Okay.
We put tickets on sale for the first one. That was earlier last year, 23. We sold it out in less than 48 hours.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, I did put a social media blast out, and I was like, this is our first time selling tickets as a band. We were still a 4-piece at that time with no drummer. And I was like, if you want to support this band from abroad, because I have friends all around the world from tap dancing and touring and all these facets of art and entertainment, I'm like, if anybody wants to support this project, even if you can't come to the show, you can help us sell out, buy a ticket, and whoever's there is going to be there.
Sure.
I just want to be able to say we sold it out.
Right.
Damn it, we did.
That's awesome.
That was like, I was like, all right, man, we got something here.
Yeah.
Shortly after that show, we were auditioning for a drummer. Second guy to sit down on the throne, did his homework. We played an original tune and he hit it just like the record.
Wow.
I was like, well, okay. You want the job, you got it. That theater hit me up again. He said, hey, let's do how do you feel about 2 back-to-back nights? Same theater, just we did it in November. We scheduled it for November. I was like, all right, it's a risk to get everybody to come out there one time. I don't know if I got more than 170 people that want to come out. So I was like, just announce one. Announce like the Friday show.
Right.
Don't say anything about the Saturday. And we'll push that. I'll sell that thing like Girl Scout cookies. We'll get it. Sure enough. Took a little longer than expected, but we hit 170 and we sold it out. Boom. I'm like, all right, now let's advertise the second one. I'm like, to guarantee we're going to sell this out, I was like, let's advertise we're going to record a live album.
Dude.
In this theater, which I'm guilty of this all the time, that cart before the horse kind of shit. I do it to myself. I'll set a goal that I know goddamn well it's going to take me every minute of the time to get there to actually get it done.
Yeah.
God, I'm my own worst enemy on that. But I was like, we're going to do a live album. We got our drummer in April. We don't have any recordings with this arrangement. We've got a handful of shows under our belt, and I'm advertising we're going to record a live record in this room.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now we have to.
Right.
I'm like, okay. So we advertise we're doing a live album. Now people are like, oh. I'm like, do you want to be in the room for the record? You're going to hear your woo-ha's like and all that.
Right.
Like, that's my whistle. All right. Be on the record. Boom. Sold out the second show.
That's awesome.
I'm like, all right, guys, now we should practice. we should gather maybe weekly. I don't know. That's an idea. But we did. We buckled down. We had enough original content to do maybe 3 cover songs for like an 80-minute show.
Wow.
90 minutes.
And these are all your songs, or with this Russo and Company, which is the name of your band. Are you guys are writing together, or is it mainly you?
We have yet to sit down and write together.
Okay.
I wrote a tune with our former lead guitar player middle last year. Started as a joke in my kitchen, but we were like, let's write this out. Still hasn't been recorded properly or anything released. But our goal as a band, like now in this winter season, is to actually sit down as a band and write some songs.
Okay.
Our banjo player, Jake Willis, he's got some great concepts for songs. A couple of them we played in that Buskin' Bootleggers band back in like 2015. But it was his writing. So that material kind of travels with him. So I sat down with him. We took a road trip. He went to go buy an old vintage boat, and we sat in the truck. I brought a guitar, and he had lyrics printed out. I'm like, all right, we figured out some chord progressions for him. And so those will be a couple that we'll maybe start with in the studio, just to give us like a jump off point to see how we work together in that environment. But for now, all the original material we're doing is stuff that I've written.
Right on. So you weren't joking about being a boat owner in Missouri.
No, we worked so hard last year. I knew I wasn't going to have time or money to like take a vacation.
Yeah.
Everything I have, I'm putting like right back into this machine. You know, we make a little bit more than we usually do. Well, guess what? We need banners. We need merch. It's a hungry monster, like every dollar. And I was like, you know what? We live right on the Missouri River.
Okay.
The confluence of the Missouri and the Mississippi.
Okay.
And there's a huge boating community out there. We've got some marinas riverside that have, restaurants and bars, and they call it like, what do they call it? The Key West of the Midwest.
Oh, wow.
It's between like St. Charles, Missouri, and Grafton, Illinois. So that little pool right there. And I had a bunch of friends that were boaters, and one of my friends took me out on a boat. I had a free afternoon.
Okay.
And we pulled up to a sandbar, and there's 30 boats. Everybody just pulls up to a sandbar, brings coolers and Bluetooth speakers. And I was like, it took me 30 minutes from my front door to go meet my buddy on his boat and get down the river to this sandbar. 30 minutes.
Wow.
I went to bed like with Facebook Marketplace in my hand, like looking for boats. Yeah, I found this little old vintage 16-foot like little turquoise boat.
You're right on.
$1,500.
That's awesome.
Yep, I was on the river like 50 times last summer.
Wow.
If I had 4 hours, I'm out there.
Well, but it seems like, I mean, from everything you've told me, the impression that I'm getting is that you're working really hard for this music thing, right?
Yeah.
So, fuck yeah, I think you earned that boat.
Yeah. I'm like, I need those little pockets of escape.
Absolutely.
Like, where I'm like, limited phone service. Nobody can get to me unless I want them to, you know?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. One of the things that, and I mean this in the most sincere way, one of the things that I told you yesterday, your songs are very relatable.
Awesome. That's good news.
No, they truly are. Watching you last night, when you were playing your original stuff, I'm referencing to last night. I'm just going to, for those who weren't there last night, Anthony played with Greg Barrick at the last drop. And it's, typically people, I mean, like I've played them with Greg and we do covers, right? And mashups and things like that. But when you were playing your original stuff, I was like, I mean, you captured me. I was like, oh, I'm listening. You captured the audience. You had people doing the call and response. Yeah. So it's very relatable music. And the topics that you choose to write about, like I said, this is super sincere. They're like kindergarten lessons that we all forgot.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Simple principles.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I absolutely enjoy that.
I like that. I'm going to put that on my band bio if it's all right.
Do it.
We sing kindergarten lessons.
We are here because one of the things that came out, and I'm not going to take credit for saying this, Jay's best friend during the pandemic, when people were, I mean, we didn't know what was happening. It was very early on. And he made that analogy. He said, all we need to do is follow the kindergarten lessons. Mm-hmm. Wash your hands. I can't remember what the other ones were, but
wait your turn in line.
Wait your turn in line. Right. All of that kind of stuff. Yeah. Right. Thanks, Jay. So that kind of stuck with me, the whole kindergarten thing. Yeah. And I was listening to your Justin sent me your stuff last year and I listened to it but I listened with intent because I knew you were coming and I knew that we were going to sit down and have this conversation. I went for a run. I put on my headphones and I listened to your songs, like I said, with intent. And I was like, whoa, these are all things that I subscribe to.
Yeah.
What you're talking about are things that I'm like, right on. I know this. Mm-hmm. And that's when the whole kindergarten lessons came up. The problem is we grow up and we forget those lessons, right?
Yeah.
So where do you draw inspiration for these songs?
I mean, 9 out of 10 of them will come from something that I firsthand experience that I can relate to a very simple concept that most people live by or understand, relate to. Relatability is like pinnacle when I'm writing. I try not to get too specific. Writing about if it's about a woman, it's not going to be her name. It's there's a way to do it. It's not really my approach.
Like rhymes with Stacy.
Yeah, sure. If Eminem could go a mile on that one.
Good.
They all come from different things, but like the initial dump of like that 4-track EP Coming Home was predominantly rooted in being on the road at a young age, feeling like a kid at the adult table, really. Yeah, that song Coming Home, like if you look up Coming Home, you type in Coming Home on Spotify, everybody's got a song called Coming Home. Like it's not a new concept. But it was relatable to me at the time because, again, I missed the first big major holidays. I missed being with my family was because I was in between cities on this tour, and you just couldn't. There's not even enough time to fly. So yeah, it was really that particular tune and that collection of songs, the Road Dog Blues, that was written about the bus drivers and the truck drivers and the crew. They're like, we're on the bus drinking and playing songs. Those guys are still working.
Mm-hmm.
We get to the hotel to go take a shower and take a nap and go to Applebee's before the sound check. These guys are up working.
Yeah.
Like, I saw that shit firsthand. And I was like,
Sure.
man, I thought this was hard for us.
Right.
These guys are sleeping 3 hours on that bus. And I'm waking up on the bus and we're in the hotel parking lot. And not the same job
Right.
at all. But yeah, most of it is rooted in my firsthand experiences of things and trying to have like a relatable lens.
You do that really, really well.
Thanks.
No mystery, nothing like, that I have to guess or that I can, not even that I have to guess, but that I can say, oh, been there, done that in one way or another. And that's when I find that I like music most, is when I can say, maybe not exactly the same thing that you experience, but I've been through something like this.
You can imagine yourself in the setting. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's being specific to the topic, but general enough that people can find a way to
connect,
find themselves in the same like scenarios and moments.
Sure. That's what you want to do. You want to connect, right?
Yep.
Are you going to keep on writing, what's the name of that song? Keep on Keeping On? Because I really liked...
I finished it like...
Did you really?
Like an hour ago.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I was on my own for the whole writing process. I just bought one of those giant dry erase boards.
Uh-huh.
So it's like in the middle of my dining room. It's my new like station. So I just like write out and stand back and go like, wipe it down, I can move it around. So I have everything written out in like format. I'm like on verse, little verse, chorus, or verse, chorus, whatever. And my last like hurdle creatively, I was at Justin's house before this, and I just got out my guitar and I was like, sit down, tell me what to do. And I played through it and I was like, it's either this, I was like, or this. And he was like, all right. Kind of talked about it for a second. And he was like, a couple of back and forth sounding board moments. And I was like, all right, I think that's everything I need to know. I played it through top to bottom. And he was like, yep, that's it.
Wow.
Dude. That was at like, shit, that was probably like 3:15, 3:30 today.
Holy shit, that's awesome.
Bang this in one take, man. Come on, watch. You don't need no guitar to write a song. We don't need a religion to learn to get along. We could use a few less people telling people that they're wrong. Just keep on keeping on. Oh, I keep my head above the water. I keep my shadow by my side. Keep to myself, keep a good book on the shelf. I keep on writing these songs. I keep on keeping on. You don't need a shovel to dig a hole. You don't need no highway to hit the open road. You don't need to ask permission to go and get gone. Just keep on keeping on. Whoa, I keep my head above the water. I keep my shadow by my side. I keep to myself, keep a good book on the shelf. I keep on writing these songs. I keep on keeping on. You
You don't need a bad habit to have a smoke. You don't need to hear the choir to feel like you got hope. There's a hell of a lot of people feeling like they don't belong. Just keep on keeping on. Oh Lord, I keep my head above water. I keep my shadow by my side. Keep to myself, keep a good book on the shelf. Keep on writing these songs. I keep on keeping on. Yeah, I keep on keeping on.
And I wasn't trying to be funny or make a joke here. I generally, when I watched that video a couple times, and I was like, he's got something here. Again, another one of those kindergarten, lesson songs. And I was like, this is interesting. Like, I want to hear more of this. So for you to tell me that you just finished this song, that's amazing.
It's always a little like that vulnerable feeling when you write something. You're like, is this good or do I suck?
Yep.
And I rarely will share something like that, where like a half-cooked idea, and I'll put that out unfinished. I usually try and wait until it's all good and polished and the big reveal. And I was like, let me just put this little nugget out there and see what everybody has to say. And I got incredible good feedback from folks. Yeah, keep writing it, keep on keeping on. And then I got like a couple messages from people, which is this happens all the time, and it's happening more and more. Folks had like opinions and had input on what was already there. And they were like, it just feels like a religious thing. And because you said like, you said this here, but then you said like, we don't need religion to get along, learn to get along. And then you said, oh Lord, before the chorus. And I was like, what?
Are you not listening to?
Zoom out.
Yeah. Correct.
Zoom out and it makes sense.
Yeah.
I also say like keep to myself, and I keep a good book on the shelf. Yep. That could be taken as a Bible reference.
Correct. That's how I took it.
Yeah. I didn't say keep the good book on the shelf. I keep
a good book. No, you're right. Absolutely.
Could be the secret.
Like, could be the Kama Sutra. Who knows, right? You know.
What's good to you? Let's keep it relative, but on top.
Yeah. Yeah. We're living in an era where people just, they don't listen. They do this. And that's it. Yeah. Right.
And there's no boundaries anymore.
Absolutely. None.
I'm like, whatever. So I've been in entertainment and on stage since I was 3 years old. I wasn't good, but I was on stage at 3. And I've in a dance studio setting, in a recording studio setting, you are surrounded by mirrors. Sound, visual. You're constantly like analyzing your own shit. And then when you take that to the stage, you're being overanalyzed by everyone in the room. So like having a lifetime of that, my skin's thick.
Oh yeah.
You know, that first tour I was on, 17 years old, I think I turned 18 at this point. We were in Reno. We got hired to do a halftime show for the San Francisco 49ers.
Yay.
And the Washington Redskins.
Oh, wow.
A giant rival game.
Yeah.
Sold out stadium, but 60,000. What fits in a stadium? 60,000 people?
Yeah.
I don't know. The dance team comes out, does their thing, bunch of pretty girls, and then 6 male tap dancers came out to tap dance at a football game halftime show. We didn't get booed by the stadium, but we got enough, like you could hear it. Like, we're tap dancing performers. You're like, boo. I'm like, what the fuck?
Wow.
Yeah. I've got friends that have far worse stories than that, but like that little grain of experience, you're like, man, okay. You gotta be thick.
Yeah.
Gotta be able to
Absolutely.
That armor's gotta be thick no matter what.
Absolutely. That's a good lesson for not just in music and performance, but in general.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Man, when was this? When did you do this?
2000. That would have been 2001 or 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
In San Fran or?
In San Francisco. Yeah,
So
we were performing at the, oh God, what was it? The El Dorado Casino in Reno.
Uh-huh.
We took the owner's private jet, flew to San Francisco, we got to watch the first half of the game, hang in an RV with all the cheerleaders and everybody. That was
Right
fun.
on.
I was just 17, just like.
They're called the Gold Rush, by the
Gold
way.
Rush. I have a signed picture somewhere. And then we got on the private jet, flew back to Reno, and did a show that night at the casino.
Right on.
Yeah, I was 17.
Wow, dude. Like this is amazing. You've lived like an entire. I mean, you've done so much, and we'll get to your dance here in a little bit. But
Sure.
You've got an amazing story, my friend.
It's an onion. there's so much.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about practice what you preach.
Yeah. The new.
Because
the new.
Yep, the new. It's a super earworm. First of all, listen to it a couple times while we were having dinner the other night. Enough to where I learned most of it. And last night when you were doing it at the drop, Justin and I were sitting together doing harmonies, and Greg looked at us like, "What is happening here?"
You know this? The track's unreleased, but some people got some leaks.
Yes. Hey, I'm privileged here, and I take that,
As you should be. The support you give to other artists, you deserve the.
Oh, thank you.
The pre-release.
Thank you. Song is the earworm. It's phenomenal. It has a clear message about how us humans are walking contradictions, right? What inspired you to write this song?
I had this concept, practice what you preach. It's kind of a generic idea for a song. I never sat down, pen to paper to push through on it. And I got a call to do a co-write with a couple of guys back in Missouri, some local songwriters, local performers. And it was our first time really hanging out together in general.
Wow.
Which is always there's that first breaching that creative flow in an initial hangout with somebody, in addition to getting to know somebody in general. So the beginning of that writing session was a little just walking through the mud a little bit, throwing out an idea. We messed with it for 30 minutes, hit a roadblock, another idea. We done the 30 whatever minutes and hit another block. And we're and I was like, let's mess with this for a second and see what happens. One of the guys started playing this lick, this rhythm walk down from a D. And I was like, I like that. Cool. Let's keep playing that. And I'm like, all right, let's talk about the mechanic that has a broke down truck. Let's talk about the handyman whose house is in complete disarray.
Right.
And just could use everything he knows how to do, do that. The doctor that told you need to cut back steps out after your appointment to have a cigarette. Right. The dentist, it's you got to do this and whatever. This is everywhere in our lives all the time. You got to eat right, and the nutritionist is eating shit. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And especially nowadays, with everyone's access to each other and everyone's access to everyone's ideas and opinions and thoughts and feelings and jokes, and everybody's got something to say about everything.
Sure.
And we could use a little less of that. We could afford to click that back 2 notches. Which ironically, the song "Keep On Keepin On" has a little bit of that play in there as well.
Yeah.
But really, that practice what you preach thing is just a reminder. Really, I don't know. I think I like to err on the side that everybody's doing their best.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe that.
Absolutely.
Once you know better, do better. Again, simple concept, something you've probably heard 100 times, but application is the...
And 2 things can be true at one time.
Yeah.
Also. That's how I take that song. A lot,
Absolutely.
you know, yeah, the Dr. Betty, super sweet lady, you know, but you cut her off and she gave you the finger. I mean, we've all had those moments, right?
Absolutely. I've been flipped off by an old lady, and I'm just like, oh, I for sure made that. That was my fault, and I deserve that.
Right. That's
But
when you go,
still,
oh, that was me. Sorry, that was me.
Yeah.
The only mechanic in town has got a broken down old Ford. I seen Dr. Bennett smoking cigarettes out the side door. Caught a county sheriff running red lights without a sound. And sober as a judge don't mean nothing in this town. Yeah, we all got a few things to work out. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. Anything granddaddy said's worth knowing, like doing what you love before you're out of time. Don't burn a bridge that you need to cross. Don't lose a map cause you might get lost. One in a million is hard to find. Yeah, the hardest things in life are hard to teach. Lord, it's even harder to practice what you preach. The local handyman's house is losing its front porch. Just last Sunday, the preacher man took in vain the name of the good Lord. Everybody knows Miss Betty May, sweet as she can be. I cut her off in a parking lot. She turned her middle finger up at me. Yeah, being good ain't always easy. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. Anything granddaddy said's worth knowing, like doing what you love before you're out of time. Don't burn a bridge that you need to cross. Don't lose a map cause you might get lost. One in a million is hard to find. Yeah, the hardest things in life are hard to teach. Lord, it's even harder to practice what you preach. Tough get going. Anything granddaddy said's worth knowing, like doing what you love before you're out of time. Don't burn a bridge that you need to cross. Don't lose a map cause you might get lost. One in a million is hard to find. Yeah, the hardest things in life are hard to teach. Sometimes we're just out of reach. The hardest things in life are hard to teach. Lord, it's even harder to practice what you preach.
Yeah.
But yeah, just accountability for yourself. Don't give too much advice, especially if nobody asks for it.
Sure.
That's a giant thing
my
these
God.
days.
Huge.
Like nobody asked.
Right.
But here
And
you
I
are.
don't need to know your opinions all the time either.
Yeah. So I don't know, just a gentle reminder to like keep doing your best. And if you're gonna slam your opinion down somebody's throat, make sure you're listening to it as well while
Yeah.
you're
Very
screaming
good.
it.
I love it.
Yeah.
So the song's going to hit the radio in March.
Yep.
In St. Louis, the St. Louis area.
Yes.
How did that happen? And considering that you're still. I mean, I know you've recorded the song, but it's still not mixed and mastered, correct?
No, I go in on in like 3 days. I go sit down to finish some of the lead guitar parts and a couple of vocal harmonies.
Oh, so it's not even finished recording yet.
We haven't finished tracking it yet. It's very close. It's very close. So we did have a release date a little bit later in the month of March.
Okay.
But there's a local radio station called KWULF. They're doing KWULF, Country and Americana. They're doing something that some of these bigger stations did back in the 80s and 90s before they were corporate owned and run and corporate programmed. These local stations would play demos. They would play early recordings.
Yep.
Styx, Chicago. These bands got spins on a station, KC95, this big rock station in St. Louis. Mm-hmm. They're now a giant. They're iHeartRadio.
Sure.
They're owned. Anything on that station comes from the top down.
Yep.
KWULF is trying to take a page out of that book, that concept of supporting the hardworking local artists in our area.
Fantastic.
What a gift.
Fantastic.
Oh my God. So a product of us last year working as hard as we did. I got my drummer in April of last year.
Mm-hmm.
9 months later, we did a battle of the bands, country battle of the bands, Boots at Bush. We beat out 14 bands.
That's what that was about. Okay.
Killed it. Double sold out the Blue House Theater in Warrenton. Back-to-back nights, recorded this live album. And just like every single thing we did was just another big bite. So we're on people's radar now.
Good.
We won that Boots at Bush competition. I got an interview on a iHeartRadio country station. Part of the prize package, you get an interview on air, you perform, you're an opening act for like a big country music float trip for a headlining touring act. I get to throw a first pitch at a Cardinals game.
Cool.
If anybody's giving pitching lessons, holler at me. There's a bunch goes along with that, but also just like local notoriety.
Yeah.
You know, we worked our asses off. God. I think I probably did 5 gigs a week for like 3 months straight. I'd take off Mondays and Tuesdays.
Mm-hmm.
But like even then, Jesus. Solo, duos, full bands.
Sure.
Once in a while, I'm like, guys, please don't quit.
Oh.
Please don't quit. Please don't quit. Please don't quit. But yeah, that local notoriety got us on the discussion table. And while they're like, we want to support local artists.
Good for you.
Where do we start? There's 2 guys on the list, our band and another guy, Matt Jordan. And they're going with us first. We're going to be their featured artist of the month. The program still hasn't been fully like laid out exactly the details of what comes along with that. But for 30 days, 31, whatever, in March, we're their featured artist of the month.
That's awesome, dude.
So I took my March 15th, 16th release date of Practice What You Preach, and I was like, if we're on the radio, this is the song that needs to be on. I'm probably like most artists, I hate 9 out of 10 things that I write. I don't like the sound of my own voice, etc. You hear yourself on a voicemail, and you're like, that's nice. Jesus. It's real.
It is real.
Is there a name? There's a name for that.
There is.
There's
I
like
don't remember, but I can tell you that I hate the sound of my own voice.
I'm gonna write a song about
Do
it. But yeah, I was like, we gotta push this release date because I can't have that go on radio because everybody, if they want to hear it again, they're gonna go immediately to look it up wherever they get their music digitally.
Right. Sure.
It has to be there. So we're expediting it. It's, you want to upload it to these platforms and give it time to find its way onto playlists and different things. So I'm trying to have this thing uploaded by with about 3 weeks before its actual release date, which almost as much time as we wanted. But again, put a deadline, put a challenge in place. I'm like, all right.
Gotta do it. Yeah.
Let's go again. Come on. Yeah.
Good for you, man.
It's just what it is.
Good for you. I do get the sense that you're very creative. You're hardworking.
Yeah.
You know what it takes. I mean, you've been doing it since you were a kid, really. And hopefully this is the payoff.
Yeah.
This is the thing, right?
I friggin' hope so.
I'm sure KWULF has a website where we can go support, listen to it there and all of that.
Absolutely.
So
they stream on their website. KWULF with a U, KWULF. It's 1015 and 1017, depending on where you're at. Around the St.
It's one of
Louis
those.
area.
Yeah. So let us know. Definitely keep me in the loop, and
absolutely.
We'll push it from here too, man.
Cool.
You're Southern Maryland adopted now, so
appreciate that. I'm gonna go get a crab tattoo on my way to the show.
You should. Let's do it. In a bigger boat.
Oh yeah, I'd die out there on that boat. My little dinghy. Oh man.
All right, so let's switch gears a little bit here, because I do want to ask you a little bit about your dancing.
Yeah.
I know you started when you were, I think I was told 2 when you started dancing.
Yeah, 2.5.
Wow.
Yeah, the rule is you either have to be 3 years old or potty trained
Right.
to start
Whichever comes first.
To start dance lessons. It's my family's dance studio. My grandparents bought it in 1974, and my mom and 2 sisters have been running the thing.
Yeah, your mom's a dancer also.
Yeah, she grew up training in the studio, and my grandfather was in the Air Force and then an over-the-road trucker. So my grandmother was working at the desk of the dance studio to help afford dance lessons.
Sure.
And eventually they decided to invest in the business. And as my mom and her sisters grew up, they were teaching and assisting and kind of took over the teaching side of things. They bought the business, relocated it, and they've owned it ever since.
Wow.
So yeah, my first time on stage, I just turned 3 years old.
Damn.
Yeah. I had to be physically removed from center stage.
That should have been a clue right there.
It's on video. Yeah, I just kept just bowing, just like 3 years old. What an asshole.
I think at 3 you're allowed to be an asshole.
Yeah, you get a pass. You don't see me doing that now. I know better.
What was the trajectory like to get into Tap Dogs?
That was a challenge. I was at a dance convention, like a nationals kind of thing. And at the competition, they also had master classes, so you could take classes from the judges.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I'm reading one of the judges' bios, Brian Burke. He was the creative coordinator of Tap Dogs, which basically he shows up, make sure the new guys learn the material, gets the show in good shape, sees it off, gets on the road, he goes home. He was the judge, and he taught a master class. He starts teaching. I'm the young, hungry tap dancer in the front row, just like, and he was like, "Hey, let me get a demonstrator." He's like, "You come up here on stage." I'm like, boom, cool. After class, I'm like, "Hey, man, I see you're in with Tap Dogs. You have a position with them. I would love the opportunity to audition for the show." He tells me the last national tour of Tap Dogs just got cast. The last tour. I was like, devastated. I saw the show when I was like 13 at the Fox Theater in St. Louis, and I was like, "Mom, there's 6 guys in tap shoes doing this.
Yeah.
I'm getting made fun of for at school. Those are my homies."
Yeah.
Like, how do I do that?
Right.
And so I asked him whatever. He said the last one was cast. I was like, all right, that's not what I wanted to hear. Later the same summer, we were at another nationals in New York. Brian Burke was a judge and a master teacher at the same event. Again, hey man, any way you could just put me on video, like get a video of me, put it in the archives. If somebody loses a leg, like God forbid, somebody gets Nancy Kerrigan, like let me. I'm so eager.
Yeah.
One of the new hires for the last national tour was involved in this dance event. So Brian asked that guy, Billy Larson, to teach me a few numbers from the show. He got a camera guy to meet me in a studio. They put me on film doing a couple of the routines, improvising, name, age, whatever. Cool. Put me on video. It's the last I'd heard of it. Same summer, right before my senior year of high school, I'm back in New York for a project I got asked to come perform in, unpaid, just like a experience kind of thing.
Sure.
I don't know how they got the phone number to my aunt's apartment in New York, but there was a message from Columbia Artists.
Wow.
One of the guys on the last national tour of Tap Dogs wasn't working out. Wasn't fitting the mold, wasn't doing the thing that he was being asked to do.
Wow.
And they fired him. And 2 weeks before 2 weeks before senior year started, got that call, had the meeting with the people in New York. Sorry, guys, I can't do this project. Flew home, met with my guidance counselor, the principal of the high school, worked it out. I'll do a couple of like homeschool classes. Luckily, I did jazz band. And a couple of like March, you get an extra credit for jazz band because it's before school.
Okay.
So I had like some extra built up.
Yeah.
And like 2 weeks from that call, I was in Tunica, Mississippi in a casino watching the show on a Sunday. Monday, I was in rehearsal.
Wow, dude. Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah. Sorry.
That's all right.
Cut.
This is so awesome. I mean, not awesome that you're crying. Awesome that is, I can feel your passion. I can feel the work, the history, all of it. Just fuck yeah, dude. So awesome.
Couple of lucky breaks.
Yeah, but no.
Couple lucky breaks in there. I'm not gonna lie.
Like, couple lucky breaks.
Timing
yes.
wise and shit.
But you were hungry enough to get in this guy's face.
Yeah.
A few times and be like, "Hey, man."
Yo.
If
I don't get it, somebody else is gonna.
Dude, I wasn't doing that. I wasn't thinking that way when I was 17.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't thinking that way. A lot of people are thinking, you know what? It's going to fall in my lap.
A lot of people think that. It's
you
crazy.
were like, I'm going to go get this for me.
Yeah.
So fuck yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't told that story like in a long time. Yeah, so lucky. But also hungry as a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell. Like I said, I feel it.
Yeah. Moved to New York when I was 19. My friends were like, construction worker, nurse, dentist.
Yeah. College, whatever.
Figuring it out. And I was like, oh man, I went to a semester of community college and I was like, this.
Not for you.
This ain't it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of passion, you're exuding it. And I love that. Like I feed off of that. Yeah. So good for you. And I'm so glad that we got to meet.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Leaking. Jesus.
Take a moment.
Yeah. Fucking pandemic hit and I lost all the tap dance shit. Gone. Large scale tours. Everything. I was on a cruise ship when the world started shutting its doors.
Oh, Jesus. That's like the last place you wanted to be.
Yeah. But yeah, then the following weeks, like I just stopped checking my email because everything I got was like contract terminations. Like, sorry, we'll circle back with you when we know more. And it just like never circled back.
But you know what? That must have been really scary. That must have been super scary.
Yeah.
But it led you here.
Yeah. I also didn't just like sit down and pout about it. I called up the guy I worked for in high school doing construction, roofing houses. And I was like, hey, man, I don't like to sit idle and it doesn't look like I'm going anywhere for a while. Mm-hmm. Do you need hands? He's like, of course. Come help out. So we're building decks and fences and siding houses and windows and doors and that sort of like engineering skill set, but also an artistic eye. I found this little happy medium of hard labor. I needed to stay in shape. Mm-hmm. I was doing 8 shows a week, 90 minutes a piece, to like doing nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, shit, I need a reason to get up. And it's not like anything to do.
Yeah.
Like anything at all. So he kept me working, he kept me eating. And then I set up my basement kind of in a similar fashion.
Sure.
and I had a Sunday night gig where I was like figuring out how to play guitar and do a solo act by myself in front of people. And so since I couldn't go to the venue, I did Sunday nights, the exact same time slot I would be at that venue from my basement.
Wow.
Venmo, whatever. If you
Yeah.
want to help out, cool. I'd sit in my basement by myself and make like $200 talking to people online. They comment. I'm like, oh yeah, good to see you guys.
Well,
oh my God, where are you tuning in from?
Yeah.
It's like
I mean,
trying to engage.
We were hungry for anything, all the
Yeah.
things. Not just that, but good on you for, again, just you're very resourceful
Yeah.
and hungry and passionate, and all of those things are just, you know, that's why you're here, man. And now I understand the relationship, you know, why you and Justin are such good friends, because yeah, I'm sure you guys fed each other, you know, quite a bit on the road.
Big time. We also come from incredibly similar backgrounds. both of our moms run and operate dance studios. You know, we had that similar comeuppance. We both had some success with it at a young age.
Correct. You're both multi-instrumentalists. You're both writers, you know. You're both very creative people.
Yep.
So yeah, I definitely get it now. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So who are some of your biggest influences in dance?
In the dance, these days I'm like happy to, you know, name some of my close friends that I performed alongside of.
Right on.
But in the beginning, you know, I was a kid growing up in the late 80s, early 90s. Gregory Hines was like pinnacle.
Yeah.
Because he was more than a tap dancer. He was a song and dance man.
Yep.
He was an actor. He was
in
TV and film. So there was more branches to the tree. Savion Glover, who was incredibly inspired and mentored by Gregory Hines.
Wow.
Savion Glover he was on Sesame Street when I was like watching that as a kid, watching the kids show. Mom, who is this? And then fast forward, I got to see him on Broadway in Bringing the Noise, Bringing the Funk, which totally flipped the tap dance training that I had in my home studio, which is a little clean cut, a little whitewashed for the art form.
Sure.
To be frank about it, I go see this show and I'm like, holy shit. These guys are doing the art form they're presenting it in such a raw fashion that is less about how's it look, but how's it sound, how's it feel? A musical relationship to the dance, not a look at this formation and the costumes and the hat and the top hat and tails. This was gritty. And I was like, that. I want that. I want that side of it.
Yeah.
And that's what I got in moving to New York, like the real fibers of the art form.
Yeah.
The history, where it comes from, why we do it this way, why we care about it the way we do, why we talk about it, and why we support other people and in it, and that no matter what level you're at in the art form, it's an incredibly tight-knit community, that tap dance thing.
That's so cool. Your mom's a tap dancer also?
Yeah. She's also, she's a Cicchetti trained ballerina. Like she gives, she runs a training program in the studio specific for ballet training as well. She also performed in tap dance companies when I was young.
Yeah.
She's a very well-rounded educator.
Very cool. Very awesome. So and I think I heard that you're not only a tap dancer, but you also did ballet as well?
Yeah, I was trained in everything when I was old enough to like think I had an opinion to stand up to my parents. I told my mom I didn't want to do ballet anymore. I was getting heat at school for it. You know, it's a smaller town in Missouri. It's kind of uncommon for I was the only guy in the class.
Yeah.
Like it's, you know, that's you know, it's an obvious thing. But you know, I was getting shit for it everywhere.
Sure.
You know, twinkle toes and like far worse. But yeah, I had I got a couple of fights.
Damn, dude.
Just standing up for myself. Like, fuck, dude.
Yeah,
I'm on the soccer team too. Like, what's up?
well, right, and that's and that's the funny thing about it is that dancers are fucking athletes too.
Yeah, it eventually the boys and men's program at the studio grew. But we were getting some of the guys off the football team in to take like the partnering classes. We needed strong guys to lift the pretty girls. The stigma of it started to shift as I got older.
Yeah.
As it still has and is continuing to do, but it was just not like, it was not the thing to do
Sure.
back then. So yeah, I told my mom, like when I was a young teen, I was like, I'm not doing ballet anymore.
Yeah.
Don't want to do it. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I want to tap dance. Because at that point, the drums came into play, and I was like, oh, shit. And then the noise and funk thing happened. I was like 14, 15. I saw Tap Dogs at the Fox Theater, and the drum lessons and all this just went like, oh,
it's all
shit.
merging.
Yeah, here it comes.
Melding together.
So like being behind a kit, the multifaceted, like multitasking that's required on that, with my tap dancing and general balance and coordination, those were harmonious. But yeah, my mom reluctantly was like, all right, you can stop taking ballet, but you got to do this.
Yeah.
You got but you can lose that, but we got through it.
Wow. Tell your mom I said hello, because she raised a good kid, man. Talented kid.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So you're going to start writing some more stuff with Russo and Company, and
absolutely.
When do you think you will have another album, EP, or?
Single's going to drop March 1st. We have the live album that we recorded back in November.
That's not released yet, or
it's not released yet.
Shit, okay.
So strategically, everything that's available now, almost everything. Justin and I did that EP, the two of us. Every instrument on it, the recording, everything. There's a couple singles we did. He helps mix and master a couple as well. But there's nothing out there right now with the instrumentation of my band, the group that we have. So when you come see us live, you listen to what we got online, you show up to a show, and you're like, everybody's like, you guys don't sound like the record. Of course we don't. Because it was two guys like postal service in this thing from St. Louis to Baltimore. Like, here's the guitar vocal, give me a bass line. Cool, email it back. So we needed something that was watertight and a representation of the band.
Sure.
So we decided to do a studio single first that is current. This is what we sound like. This is who we are. And then the live record, because the live record is not perfect.
Of course not.
No way
is
that ever going to be perfect. And also, my cart before the horse approach, we weren't incredibly tight. There was a little bit of post scrubbing per se, but like I didn't have to do real surgery on it, which is a gift. Not everything's going to make the record, but we do have a live record coming out. We're slating that around April.
Okay.
The whole purpose of that is so I can send that live record to venues and be like, there's the sound.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to get. And then this Keep On Keepin On track, I just finished writing it today. I might try and do a real stripped down version of that. That's just guitar vocal. A lot of things that are getting success lately. You know how long you can sit at that studio desk and polish something?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I had a buddy of mine, he was like, why are you so worried about, like, I'll zoom in on a microscopic note a moment. He's like, why are you overthinking this when that kid just did a 30-second TikTok video and he's selling out a stadium?
Yeah.
I was like, you son of a bitch.
There's a point to that, but I guess find the balance. Find the balance.
It's not a shift in one direction or the other. Like, I'm a perfectionist, as most artists are. But the more I do this, I'm relinquishing like a little bit of that over hyper control of every grain of every wave of sound and everything. Sure. Like, I want to put out something that's a little stripped down, acoustic vocal. That's what you get, and you can hear the full band version when you come to a show. And maybe we'll put that in the studio at some point. This summer, we're recording a track called Headline and Rodeo. It's already been written. We did it on the live record. But that song is more of an upbeat rock sound for our band. A little less on the bluegrass, a little less on the country, more of like a forward driving, drum heavy, guitar lick heavy, real driving tune.
Right on.
About my journey with the Sykeston JC Boot Heel Rodeo.
Okay.
Selling cowboy hats to singing the national anthem to playing the after party after Whiskey Myers for the VIP area last year to like, God damn it, I'm going to headline it at some point.
Right on.
Like, you know?
You'll get there, man.
I hope so. But again, like based in my experiences, relatable. It's not about headlining rodeo. It's about getting from the tiny name on the poster to like font 14 to font 18 to font 20 to like 22. just increase the font size.
Sure.
Keep climbing. That's it. So we've got a single release in March. We've got the live album coming out in April is a tentative release on that one. The song I just finished writing this afternoon, we'll release that. Probably a stripped down version, guitar vocal with a video. And beyond that, for the first time in like a couple of years, the venues that I've been hounding relentlessly, I'm on the receiving end of emails and messages.
Right on.
The work is paying off like exponentially at this point. Going through some growing pains with the band, which is totally normal. We're a 4-piece currently, looking to add another lead in some facet.
Okay.
But what all this is doing is strengthening our core.
Absolutely.
These core 4, like my banjo players on lap steel as well.
Yeah. Okay.
I've got an electric guitar in my hands a little more often than not now. There's a microphone in front of my drummer. There's a microphone in front of the bass player. Like all these things are starting to happen. Part out of necessity, but part out of just like organic growth of this project.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So, like really, I'm trying to do what I did last year, a little more selective. I'm not above anything, which is why I constantly keep that like in my mind.
Sure.
Nothing is like below us. I'm trying with a band. I'm trying not to book us in venues that don't have stages.
Yeah.
You know, being on the floor in the corner with a 4 or 5-piece band.
Right.
That's how your shit gets spilled on.
Yep.
People trip on it, they kick it, and they ruin it. Like
just
that little, just a little separation.
Sure.
Not for any reason other than like I'm tired of people spilling on my shit.
Yeah.
Like it happens too much. I still book solo shows everywhere. A lot of the places that gave me my start, that really kind of kick-started me in the beginning when I was like, hey, you don't know me, but I'm still figuring this out. Can I play here? Can I play there? You don't want to pay for it? All right. First time around, give me a tip jar, and if it goes well, then we'll have that conversation.
Sure.
Still doing that stuff. That's still happening. As long as like, I just want to bring my material to a new audience. Yeah. You know, where we're at, our growth. If you haven't heard about us, by March, you're gonna. We're hitting radio. I'd like to do another music video shoot.
I was going to ask about that for Practice What You Preach. You want to do a video for that, or?
I don't know. I think we're going to do more of a comedic music video shoot for Prize Fighter.
Oh, okay.
I showed up in an old Dodge Caravan. It was a desert tan. I bought a $500 Dodge Caravan. It's tan. And we're going to cut the roof off and do some dumb shit.
Excellent. That sounds like a great choice.
Yeah, I think a lot of artists come to a fault when they take themselves too seriously.
Yeah.
Like if you're in a room with me and my band, like you're going to laugh your ass off.
Yeah.
Because we're shit talking. Like we not to a fault, but we turn a lot of things into a joke. We take ourselves seriously, but we laugh at like the environment's incredibly encouraging.
Yeah.
But like, how do we bring that to the audience instead of like, here's this song, here's our new release, so here's a band photo, everybody look different ways. Like, everybody's doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what people relate to is something that they can relate to.
Of course.
Like,
of
it's
course.
so simple. But like, I don't know. We try and be just like as honest with the content as well as the promotion of it and the representation of who we are. I'm not trying to be anybody we're not. I'm not. My guitar playing is very honest. I'm a rhythm guitar player. I'm not overzealous with anything. I'm stay in my lane and like try and do it the best we can.
And you're doing it really, really well, I will say. So keep us updated for Practice What You Preach.
Yep.
Because we're gonna push it from over here. Absolutely, if we can, anything that we can do. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know your visit here is short, but I appreciate 100% very much you being here today.
Thank you. And I appreciate what you do for artists and entertainers in this pocket of the world.
Thank you. Thank you very much for saying so. Thank you.
Yep.
It was so hard not to do the harmony. I know. I'm over here like.
Actually, the first time I heard you do that song was last night at the bar.
Yeah.
This morning I'm in the bathroom brushing my teeth, getting ready for work, and I'm singing. Yeah.